out or anything along those lines. I'm guessing this is what Tony's announcement tonight is going to be. It's all going to be about Collision. But as I said, I haven't seen or read anything about it. I just saw that it had actually come out and there'd been a press release. And so what we can do is we can actually take a look at that together forever in a second. But I do have lined up the lineup for this week. So we can definitely take a look at this week's show lineup as well. Let's do that first, and then we can get stuck into the Collision stuff because that is the big topic of the day. So here is the lineup. We've got Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, taking on Roosh. We've got Don Callis. Obviously, he turned on Kenny last week. That was a big shock at the end of last week's show. Ricky Starks is going to be taking on Switchblade Jay White. Although here it's just listed as Jay White. It doesn't say Switchblade, which is kind of interesting. Sammy Guevara is going to be in action. And then we've got Chris Jericho against Roderick Strong in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We've got Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin taking on Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. We got Dr. Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida taking on Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. So that's what the match card looks like for tonight. But as we said, there was going to be a big Tony Khan announcement. Obviously, Tony announced his announcement last week. I think that announcement has been sort of derailed because the news has come out regardless anyway. But I still expect to hear from Tony, who I believe on Twitter did say that there would be further information, more detail about Collision on tonight's show. So we are going to be getting more information from Tony, but let's take this opportunity to have a look at the press conference. We can go through it kind of line by line. And as I said, genuinely, I haven't read this, so this is going to be quite an interesting read. It is quite long, but in all fairness, we don't need to read the bit at the bottom, which just tells us about TNT and tells us about AEW. We know about those companies. Let's see what they're saying about Collision. So TNT launches a second night of wrestling with AEW Collision featuring headliners Thunder Rosa, Miro, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Andrade El Idolo on Saturday, June 17th. Now, straight away, that's interesting because that's an interesting lineup of names for them to name check. Powerhouse Hobbs listed as a headliner, Thunder Rosa, Miro, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Andrade El Idolo. What's really interesting there is we haven't even that's the headline, right? And without even getting stuck in, like, we're not talking about the Elite, we're not talking about CM Punk, we're not talking about FTR, we're not talking about Kenny Omega, we're not talking about Hangman Page. We're talking about a real group of people there that have been underserved. I mean, if you think Thunder Rosa, we haven't seen her for a long time because of injury. Miro, I mean, where'd you start with Miro? Just has been very underutilized. Samoa Joe has been on TV, in all fairness, but he has been spending a lot of time with Ring of Honor belts, like the Ring of Honor TV title. I know he did have a little run with the TNT title, but for him to be listed as a headliner is very interesting. Powerhouse Hobbs as a headliner, Andrade El Idolo as a headliner. Interesting. I haven't said anything that's not in the thing. Like they said, featuring headliners Thunder Rosa, Miro, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, Andrade El Idolo. I just think that's an interesting bunch of names. Like, I can think of quite a few names that I would have expected to be listed. I can understand them not listing CM Punk because I think they're going to want that to be a surprise. And I have seen rumors that he is potentially not connected with Collision now. I don't know if people are just pumping that out to try and put a bit of a swerve out there, so that you are a bit surprised when he does arrive, or if things have changed. But I mean, for the longest time, CM Punk was the name that was heavily connected with this. But no mention of FTR yet. We have only literally just read the headline, by the way. So no mention of FTR or anything. Andrade in from the Colts. Jim said, I thought Andrade was going back to WWE. Don't forget the brand split. It could change everything, says Christopher. That's interesting point. But yeah, I mean, the brand split will change stuff. And obviously there is going to be other people added to this. And I do still expect CM Punk to be added. But I just think it's interesting that they've name-checked these people because I think Thunder Rosa, maybe Miro, maybe Andrade, they're not all listed on the active roster because they've been away from the active roster for so long. But surely Powerhouse Hobbs is on the active roster. Surely Powerhouse, because we've seen him only a few weeks ago. He won the title off Wardlow. He's been connected with that QTV. So I do agree that there will obviously be other names added to this once we get the brand split and everything. But I just think that of all the names to mention, we still haven't got past the headline here. Of all the names to mention, I just think this is a very interesting group of names. James said, thanks, Tony, for another show for my weekly list. Let's go, James. Let's go. They're determined for you to not even have time to go to the bathroom. You are literally going to have to wear adult nappies going forwards so that you literally don't leave your sofa at all. The wrestling world is determined for you to have no free time whatsoever. Mitchell said, Days, do you think CM Punk Elite Fan Civil War could hurt viewership of either show? Wrestling fans can be petty. I would hate to see AEW end up having viewership split between the two shows. That's a really, really interesting point, and I must admit it's one that I've not considered. I think that there is a divide amongst the AEW fans as to who their loyalties lie with. I think some people are with CM Punk, some people are with the Elites. I must admit, I mean, I haven't sensed a deep divide. I can't say that I've seen Twitter wars between AEW fans. I think by and large they've stayed on the same page. I think by and large, they've said what they've said, hoped that CM Punk can still come back, hoped that there can be a way forward for everybody to still remain with the company. I think you do have some that are like, I'm not bothered if CM Punk goes, or it's better if he goes. But I can't say that I've seen like these deep divides or civil war type tweets, and AEW fans turning on each other. But the brand split might just accentuate that. It could actually make it a deeper divide. That's a really interesting point. So your question was, do you think CM Punk Elite Fan Civil War could hurt viewership of either show? The answer has to be yes. If, but there's a big if here. If there is a big civil war, then yes, I think that fans can be very tribal. I think that, if fans want to support the elites and aren't, feeling, I think there'll be enough on the other show as well as CM Punk to get non-CM Punk fans to tune in. But listen, I think more than the Civil War, right? Which, as I said, I haven't sensed that there is a big Civil War. I don't deny that there's going to be the odd comments and the odd thing that you see on Twitter, as always. But I'm talking about, this isn't like hashtag Fire Vince, which was everywhere for that week, right? That was like whatever stream you went on, you could see hashtag Fire Vince, yeah, for the week after WrestleMania. That you didn't need to go looking for it; it found you. And I can't say that I've seen that with AEW fans like turning on each other. But I think it's a really interesting point because I do, and I can understand that could be a thing because of just how tribal wrestling fans can be, and not just wrestling fans, people, right, in general. Whether it be Marvel versus DC, whether it be Pepsi versus Coke, like whether it be football, sports, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, tribalism just sort of seems to be built into our DNA as a species, to be honest. And so, yeah, I think it could definitely be a factor. But to be honest, I think there's a bigger factor at play. I think there's something more than that. And I think it's the day that this show is going to be on. I think the fact it's on the Saturday is a big problem. I think it's a real big problem. And I don't know. I don't know what their expectation is. I don't know if they're going to put a lot. See, what's interesting to me is that a lot of those names that we've just read as headliners, they are people that I would say have struggled to get TV time. And so what it seems like is Dynamite might largely stay as it is right now with the Elite, with Jericho, with, Acclaimed and, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter. Dynamite could change, stay as it is, because a lot of those names that we just read are names that I would say have not been on TV. I mean, outside of Powerhouse Hobbs, who has had TV time, but I think we can say, other than like a little bit of a spell recently, he's not someone that we've used on the regular basis like Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy has had way more TV time than a Powerhouse Hobbs. But I mean, like Thunder Rosa, she's been out, injured for a long time. Samoa Joe has struggled to get consistent TV time. I mean, let's not even get started on Miro and Andrade El Idolo, right? So there's a couple of guys that have not had TV time. Granted, largely, I believe, through their own choice, where, they've made things quite difficult. But I think that's an interesting group of set of names, because it does feel like this show is maybe catering to try and get some of that talent they've got just kicking around that's not been getting on TV onto TV. So that makes me wonder as to what the expectation is for this show, because if Dynamite is going to largely stay as it is, yet Collision is going to have a lot of the stars. I mean, you can throw CM Punk into that pot. CM Punk is an AEW superstar that's not been seen for about 12 months, right? So he fits perfectly into that. So you've got all these people that have been struggling to get onto TV. And of course, you're going to have some of those mid-carders, low-enders. You'll have a few other big names come over as well, right? There will be a brand split of sorts. But I think largely we can sort of already see, we're still only a headline in, by the way, but we can sort of see already what they're looking to do with Collision. And it does seem like they're going to treat it as a show for the stars that maybe have struggled to get the TV time and keep Dynamite largely as it is, which, because all of this is just additional, they're not losing anything by doing that. I don't know what the expectation for the numbers are. I don't know what they're expecting the numbers to be. I don't know what their projections say, but they're not really losing anything, because so far the names that we've just read out, they're not getting on TV anyway. So it's kind of clever, because they've got a 2-hour show. It's extra. It is on a Saturday night, which I think is very difficult, but it's going to cater, just from what we've read so far, largely to people that haven't got on TV. But I think the Saturday night's a problem. I think that is going to be a bigger problem than AEW fans being like, tribal or whatever. I think that's going to be a real barrier, because like for me, for example, I just can't watch Collision. I already know I can't do it, because like on a Saturday we've got UFC, we've got boxing, there's Misfits boxing, KSI, the Jake Paul, there's heavyweight boxing, there's Tank Davis, and all these people that are putting on shows, and these kind of events are always on a Saturday. So a regular weekly wrestling show, I just think that's going to be a real challenge, a real challenge. People go out with friends as well, like they stay in and watch TV in the week, go out with their mates, go to concerts, and Saturday night, it's just a difficult time. So Yeah, it's going to have a few challenges. But that's a really good point. I honestly didn't really consider the tribal aspect of AEW fans. But I think there's a few barriers. Let's get back to it, otherwise we'll never get through this. Right, New York, May 17th. TNT launches a second night of professional wrestling with a new tentpole series. I've never heard that terminology before. I've never heard that. Tentpole series. That feels like a main structure series. That's like something that's a tentpole series. I've never heard that. So I'm guessing like that means that it's something that is like you rely on it. It's consistent. It's important. Guessing that's what it means. Tentpole series. AEW Collision. It was announced by Kathleen Finch, legend, the chairman and chief content officer of US Networks Group, Warner Brothers Discovery. Love her work. What a legend. During the company's 2023 upfront presentation at Madison Square Garden. That's pretty sick, isn't it? If you're going to do your upfront presentation somewhere and you're so big that you just book Madison Square Garden. That's sick, isn't it? That is pretty sick. I mean, they are massive, so I shouldn't be surprised, but to do such a presentation at Madison Square Garden. This live 2-hour in-ring show, I like that, just in case anyone was wondering if it's going to be like a new All Access in-ring show, will air every Saturday night from 8:10. 8:10? And will feature more wrestlers, more stories, more action to super serve fans. You're going to be super served inside your tent. AEW Collision will feature headliners Miro, Samoa Joe, Thunder Rosa, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Andrade Al Idolo. In only 4 years following the launch of AEW Dynamite, AEW's footprint. Oh my God, they love this business talk, don't they? We've got footprints. We've got super serving. We've got tent polling. Has more than doubled across TNT and TBS. Along with AEW Dynamite, Friday Night AEW Rampage, the recent Doc AEW All Access, and now AEW Collision, TNT and TBS deliver the best matches and the most entertaining moments in professional wrestling today. That is written down in black and white. It is facts. It is facts because it's on this press release. AEW has reached 23 million total viewers so far this year across all of its shows on TBS and TNT. We're doubling down on wrestling with AEW Collision, which gives fans 2 more hours every week, says Jason Solanis, legend, president of Turner Networks, ID, HLN, linear and streaming. AEW's roster of talent has expanded so quickly that we felt it needed another night to bring our audience the epic rivalries, unforgettable matches, and stars that they love to watch. Adding Collision to our programming mix on TNT will allow us to satisfy the massive demand we've felt from our hardcore fan base and be the ultimate complement to AEW Dynamite on TBS. With the addition of AEW Collision on TNT, I'm extremely proud that a Turner Network will be the home of Saturday Night Wrestling for the first time in more than 2 decades, said Tony Khan, CEO, GM, and head of creative of AEW. The debut of Collision is significant across numerous sectors, including television, wrestling, entertainment, and sports, and reinforces AEW as the bold property that we envisaged when we launched in 2019. Collision will deliver live every Saturday night more of what fans and viewers tell us they want. Athleticism, big personalities, exciting storylines, and hard-hitting wrestling action. All of which have become synonymous with AEW. Boom. That is the press release. And then it goes, talks about TNT, talks about AEW. So in America, Dynamite is on TBS. This new show is going to be on TNT. I think the list of names they mention as the headliners are very interesting. I think there's a little bit of business spiel in there, which is always fun to engage with. I've never heard tempoling. Never heard of it. Sounds like a sex thing. And the other thing as well is the logo. So a lot of people have been saying, and rightfully so, that this took its inspiration from Nitro. And it does look like it. I mean, it clearly has. Let's click on this and let's have a little look. So I'd imagine you've probably seen it by now, but there it is. AEW Collision. I think what's interesting about this is this gives us a little insight into the potential color scheme and just gives us a bit of an insight into the aesthetic. This has got... it's kind of interesting because it's called Collision, but it's got a bit of like a sci-fi Star Wars vibe to the background image. I feel like I'm flying. You know when that is it an X-wing, whatever it is, goes down into the Death Star, and you're like zooming across the surface of the Death Star, and you're about to drop the bomb to blow up the Death Star. I feel like I'm doing that. Just looking at the background, I feel like I'm speeding through a corridor in the Death Star as I'm about to detonate a bomb. And then you've also got those kind of like lines around the information, the kind of computer, I don't know what you would call them. I suppose are they aim lines in a way? Kind of like you can, whatever's in the box is in trouble because we're going to shoot it down. So I'm getting those kind of vibes from it. So this is kind of an interesting graphic because not only does it show us the logo, but as we said, it also gives us maybe a little bit of the feel of what the show's going to feel like. Are we going for that kind of computer, sci-fi, Star Wars vibe? It's kind of got. I'm certainly getting that vibe from it, as I said, from the imagery in the background and some of the lines. But then the Collision, I don't know. I don't really get it so much from that. I suppose in a way I get like a bit of Demolition Man. I get a little bit of sci-fi vibes, Terminator, getting all that kind of stuff. In fact, actually, I didn't even notice, but it has got just next to, that's interesting. Look at this. Just next to the AEW logo. You've got this grid pattern as well, but up here, look, warning, 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 next to the AEW logos and a little bit of like computer text on screen and like little warnings and whatever. So, you know, it's not big, it's not important. It's, you know, it just, I don't know, it just gives you a little bit of maybe a feel as to what the show might be. The staging might be like, the ring apron might be like, the intro video package might be like. So, yeah. So this is what we were waiting for. This is what we thought Tony was going to announce today. And he won't announce it, but we are expecting him to talk about it now. He said that, I need to find his tweet, actually. Tony did say that there would be more on it, but I don't know if he said anything else. But Tony says, Tony says, here we go. Today is a great day for AEW, and it's only the start of great times ahead. AEW Collision starts 1 month from today on Saturday, June 17th. At 8 p.m. Well, hang on. No, it doesn't. Because I literally just read your press release that said 8:10, right? If I'm rocking up at 8 Eastern time and I've got to wait an extra 10 minutes, I'm off. I am off, right? So make your mind up, please. You're either starting at 8 or you're starting at 8:10, right? It's not hard to get this detail right, is it? To tell me what time you start. So, which is it, please? I hope. Do you know what? I hope his announcement is an apology on today's show where he goes, I tweeted out 8 hours ago that the start time was 8 Eastern time. I would like to take this opportunity to apologize. Those eagle-eyed readers will have seen in the press release it's actually 8:10. I am a disgrace. I do apologize. I have resigned. So, right, 8 p.m., 8:10, who knows? It's one of them. So it's going to be on TNT. We have more info on Collision, plus a great night of wrestling on Wednesday night. Dynamite live on TBS tonight. There we go. Well, there we go. So, thoughts. Put in your thoughts. What do you think? Are you happy? Are you sad? What do you think about it? Hey, what do you think about it? I'll tell you what Wrestle with Andy thinks. He says, Google the Nitro logo. I know it. I've seen it. It looks like it's inspired, but I'm surprised they haven't mentioned it. James said, it reminds of WCW, but it seems WWE owns everything to do with that. Could that logo be open up to a lawsuit? I don't think it's close enough, to be honest. I don't think it's close enough. I think that would, like WWE could potentially put in a little something just to annoy Tony and AEW, but I would really hope that wouldn't succeed because for me, it's not close enough. It's not close enough. Craig said Jamie Hayter pulled from AEW due to injury. She has not been cleared. I just saw a short with Darby Allin doing a swanton to Hardy. I'm going to tune in tonight, said the critic. Tentpole. Yeah. Yeah, very good. The list of wrestling, kinky wrestling terminologies. Montreal Screwjob. Gorilla Position. And now we've got tentpoling. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. What a night out that was, eh? What a night out that was. It's got the WCW Saturday Night Machine aesthetic crossed with Nitro, says Esteban. Who are your early predictions for Sterling against Sean O'Malley days on August 19th? I think Sterling. I think Sean O'Malley is probably the right challenger right now. I did side with or just lean Sterling when it was Sterling against Cejudo. We didn't actually get a chance to do that event, but I did have people ask me what my thoughts were on it. And I said I thought Sterling because I do think that inactivity is a massive factor. I do think it's a big problem. There's plenty of people like John Jones that can come back and just show that it's not an issue for them. But we have seen quite consistently people come back after being inactive for so long and really struggle. And so it seemed to go for Cejudo. Now, clearly, Sean O'Malley is not going to have that problem. That's not an issue. But I think Jermaine is definitely the rightful champion right now for that division. I think that Sean's going to be his biggest test. But I just think that Sterling is in a groove now. I think he is the champ. I think he's proved is the champ. I think it's Sean has got to come and take that title, and I just can't see how he's going to do it, to be honest. I think Sterling is pretty good all round, pretty slick all round now. And I think that I think back to O'Malley struggling to put Chris Mutino, I think that was his name. Not that long ago, some kid got brought in last minute, and O'Malley was really struggling to put this kid away. The kid ended up getting signed. He did actually put him away very late into the final round, and the kid got signed. But Chris Mutino's not looked very good since. So was that just an amazing performance from him? A one-off Rocky type moment? Or is it that Sean has still got a bit of work to do when it comes to, being able to get the job done? And listen, against someone like Jermaine Sterling, You need to be a consistent killer. I just don't think Sean is. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Aljamain Sterling again. James say, I enjoy watching the shows. You need a checkup on the mods. They're timing out people that aren't doing anything wrong or say anything wrong. WWE mark crybabies. Shots fired. Shots fired. We had this conversation the other day about like how hard it can be to moderate. I think the mods do a really good job. I think I wouldn't dispute that some honest, good comments do get shot down. But I still stand by what I said the other day. I think there is always going to be a degree of friendly fire. And I think that some good, honest comments, I think, can get caught in that crossfire. But I think by and large, like big picture, rather than like talking about little detail, little one-off examples, I think big picture, I think the mods do a great job. Rest of Andy said, I think there was some tent poling. Oh, here we go. During the segment with Dijak and Dragunov last night. It did get kinky, that didn't it? That did get kinky. I was doing the little 1 minute review thing, and I found myself saying the line, Dijak told Dragunov that he could break any man. We then watched as he failed to break Dragunov. And, like, it felt kinky even as I was saying it. I think you're right. I think there was some tent poling going on. Mitchell said, I've got one more thought on the matter. Bring it. I enjoyed your last one because it made me think. I'm finishing my coffee first. Right. He says, I've got one more thought on the matter. Does it mean no more Saturday pay-per-views for AEW? Also, if all pay-per-views are on a Sunday, will the Saturday show be taped? That is an interesting thought. So 8 o'clock or 8:10, we don't know which, Eastern time, that is going to be 1 a.m. UK time. So pay-per-views will definitely have started by that point. So if it's like a 2-hour show, you can't start a pay-per-view at 10 o'clock Eastern time at night. I mean, it is, you can't really do it before because you ain't going to do a pay-per-view and then go into your weekly show after. And you ain't going to be able to do it afterwards. So, yeah, I suppose it would mean that those pay-per-views have to move. They'd have to move because you can't not do that show because that is a commitment that is a consistent commitment. It's a time slot that has to be filled. And unless it's in the contract that say 4 times a year, they can't do that show because they'll be doing a pay-per-view instead. Maybe that's in the contract. Or maybe they've just decided they're going to move to a Sunday night. I mean, honestly, for me, I love Sunday night pay-per-views. I think I can understand why people don't like them. And certainly if you're in the UK, I can understand why people don't like them because they are on literally during the night on a Sunday. And as I said, like I used to have to go to work, go to school as well, and having not seen the show. And for me, like back in the day, that wasn't too problematic because like before the internet and before smartphones, unless you knew someone that was a fan, nothing was going to get spoiled, right? But now with the internet and the fact that, you know, you've got notifications set up on your phone and, you know, you'd have to avoid social media and as well as any friends that were into it as well. I can understand it's a lot harder to avoid spoilers now to try and go a whole day without, like, you know, having that spoiled. I could understand that being a challenge. But I think for me, I just remember back to, like, it wasn't too much of a problem. And not only that, I think the fact that it felt like you was not too far removed from the conversation. I think on a Saturday night, if for whatever reason you don't get a chance to watch it, maybe you can catch up on the Sunday. But I sort of feel like by the time you get into the Monday, if you are speaking to people about it, friends at school or people at work or whatever, there's just been a little bit of time that's gone by. I kind of feel like that you might have already got it out of your system. When it's on a Sunday night, it feels like it's still very fresh, obviously, on the Monday. Maybe not quite so much if it's on the Saturday night. So and plus also it just works a lot better for us when it comes to streaming. I mean, that is obviously a massive positive as well for us as a channel. But I'm not even really talking about that. I'm talking more about like having conversations with friends at work, at school, wherever about it. It still feels very fresh on a Monday if it only happened on the Sunday night. And I think I'm just a victim of like having been brought up with Sunday night pay-per-views. I'm just so used to them. They are what they are. I think you get comfortable with them, and I think you just get used to them. And I think that there are pros and cons to them. Definitely, I would never say there wasn't, but I will always prefer them. I will always prefer wrestling being on a Sunday night, because I was just brought up with that. And if they are going to make that switch, I think it is positive. And Sunday nights are just so... There's nothing that happens on a Sunday night. It's just this big night of the week where you've just got free reign, basically. It seems like everything happens on a Saturday, and very little to nothing happens on a Sunday. Certainly not a Sunday night. You might get Sunday football, but I mean, you ain't getting like late night stuff here in the UK. If we have got any Sunday games, they tend to be on in the daytime. So Sunday night is free. So yeah, it's another good point. If they are going to run on the Saturday, which they are, with Collision, then I've got to think that they're either not going to run Collision, say 4 times a year, so they can do the pay-per-view instead, which they could do. You know, I'm sure that TNT could run alternative programming for those 4 weeks. So I don't think that would be the biggest problem. All right, just put a nice film on. Nothing too long. They've got a couple of hours, right? But you could pop a nice film on. Maybe My Girl, Home Alone, something like that, around Christmas time. And then, or you could, as I said, just switch the pay-per-views to a Sunday. So another good thought. I mean, to be honest, I think the one thing they could move the day and just show it on a Friday instead of the Saturday. You know, you could move the day, but I wouldn't really do that, to be honest. I wouldn't really do that. I think it's really important that you have that kind of consistency so that people know where they can find you and at what time. And then, because humans are a creature of habit, as well as being very tribal, they're a creature of habit. And we've all got our own little routines. And I find that my week is very largely the same every single week. I'm not doing the exact same things, not saying the exact same words, thinking the exact same thoughts, but I am streaming at the exact same times because the shows are on at the exact same times. And so that means I have to set up at the exact same times. I have to do my research for the Saturday shows at the exact same times. I sort of know what my week looks like now. And I think a lot of people are that way as well. They watch, like, you know, the same shows on the same days. They have their own little schedules and everything. So moving around Collision would just get quite messy. You could do it, 4 times a year, you could do it. But yeah, you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. We don't see WWE moving Raw, for example. Right? Raw is Monday, 8, same time, all the time. You could say the same with SmackDown, really. SmackDown has moved in the past. I mean, it's been on a Tuesday, it's been on a Thursday, it's been on a Friday, but that's just how it goes when you're changing networks, changing like deals and everything. So that has sadly moved a fair bit, but not since it stays on SmackDown. It has changed channel to FS1 a couple of times, but I mean, God, look at the ratings. Whenever it moves to FS1, SmackDown does about 800,000. Does like around the same, if not less, than Dynamite. I don't know how many homes have FS1, to be honest. It could be that FS1 is only in like 5% of homes or whatever, but it is shocking to see. I'm always stunned when SmackDown ratings come out after they've been on FS1. So that's certainly not a flipping sign of success. That's certainly not something that I think that you'd want to do on the regular. So ideally, just move the pay-per-views. As I said, I think there's real merit to having them on a Sunday night. Anyway, it's traditionally a wrestling night for pay-per-views, and that means then that you can just have consistency with Collision. Days blazing that Shockmaster mind funk. Let's go. Not excited for the new AEW show. Okay. I'd rather watch Sunday Night Heat reruns. Speaking of which, on the stool right now, Bad Mexican. I don't know what that means. I legit don't know what that means. Speaking of which, on the stool right now, Bad Mexican. Oh, Mexican foods. Okay. In my mind, you were standing over like a Mexican person that had just done something wrong and you was going, Bad Mexican. And they were like, okay, got you. I'm with you now. Thank you, R.I.P. Typhoon. Typhoon hasn't passed away, has he? Fred Ottman. Is Fred, that's Shopmaster in it? Hang on. Let's not have any fake news going around here. Fred Ottman, Typhoon's still with us. Fred Ottman. Retired wrestler. He was Tugboat. He was Typhoon. He was Shockmaster. In 1993, he debuted as the Shockmaster in WCW and immediately fell. This is on his Wikipedia page. Immediately fell over, losing his mask on live television while his teammates broke character and laughed. This botch hurt his career. It made his career, and is now genuinely regarded as the worst debut in wrestling history. But he was able to capitalize on its notoriety after his in-ring retirement. It is funny, actually. I mean, if you talk about some of the greatest, most iconic moments, not matches, not stories, just single moments. I mean, that Shockmaster one is so iconic. It is so iconic. Yeah, and is it the biggest botch in history? That's interesting. Biggest botches in history. I mean, there's definitely a few that come to mind. Nasty injuries like Sid's injury. Feel like you've got to give Nia Jax a mention when you're talking about biggest botches. But yeah, I think that Shockmaster one, that's got to be right up there, man. It's got to be right up there. Makes me think of the figure that Mattel did, which has got, there might be some that haven't seen it. Let me just quickly find it. I didn't expect to get onto the Shockmaster, but I do love that moment. As do all wrestling fans. And if you don't love it, you're not a wrestling fan. Simple as that. Fake fan. I mean, look at this. This is goated, man. This is flipping goated. How much does it go for now? Huh? $47, that's all. What is that? Can you buy that now for $47? That's a good price if you can. Is it still available? 47. There's a website here that is selling Shockmaster figures. And they're using my thumbnail. It's hilarious when people do that. Hang on. Look at this. This is what I'm looking at the moment. This is the website I'm on. Don't know what this is. What website is this? Shop-off-75ml. But that's my thumbnail right there. Being used to advertise this figure for $45.88. I mean, it's an awful flipping thumbnail. It is awful. I remember taking this picture, I wanted like a background that I could keep using consistently for different figures, and I would get a cutout of the figure on my phone, and I would like just put it in the middle and have the other figures kind of looking at it, right? And so, you know, I had that. And then with this, I wanted to do something special, well, not special, but different, and have him like falling over. But yeah, that's my flipping picture. I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue shops off -75.ml. I'm coming for you. But yeah, what I wanted to show you was that, look, when Mattel released this figure, they put it in upside down in the box. Because he's falling over and his mask has come off and everything. It's just the best, isn't it? Look, there he is upside down, little cut out. He's fallen through the packaging. And it's just the worst outfit as well, isn't it? It's the worst outfit. Oh my God, that is 2016 San Diego Comic-Con. That's where you got it from. 2016. How many years ago is that? 7 years ago now. 7 years old this figure is. And they've never made another, you know. They've never made another one. 7 years. I know it's a trash thumbnail, but just remember that's 7 years ago. Don't want beef. Don't want people going, that's trash. Do you know what's trash? Having your thumbnail stolen. That's what's trash. Call Stephen P. News. Yeah. Stephen P. News. He doesn't advertise him anymore, does he? I think they've separated. I mean, I don't listen to his podcast all the way through anymore, to be honest. It used to be part of my listening. I haven't got a problem with Jim Cornette or anything. I just don't find myself ever getting to the full length episodes, which I did used to, but I just don't find myself getting to them anymore. But I haven't heard him talk about Stephen P. for a long, long time. Sorry, your claim has been denied. You're only entitled to 0.05 pence. That's the world we live in, eh? That's the world we live in. James, appreciate the support. Brenton said, Days, hope you are well. Well, I was. Until I was robbed. Does Collision exist mean Rampage getting canned? Thought I saw Collision being announced as AEW second show. I hope it gets cancelled or revamped. Thoughts? Well, they haven't said anything on Rampage. I think we just read that thing. Did they say it was a second show? Is that how they worded it? I've lost the statement now. Hang on. There's the statement. Where is the statement? Tony will have it, won't he? Tony will have it, or AEW will have it. Let's jump over there again. There it is. Here we go. TNT launches a second night of professional wrestling. So it is a second show, but I think they're classing it as the second show on TNT, with Rampage being the first show. Rampage does get a mention about, like, in only 4 years we've launched this show. So yeah, there's nothing here that sort of suggests that Rampage is going away. What Rampage is going to look like, though, I mean, oh God, I have no idea. It's going to need a revamp because, I mean, like, you've got Dynamite that's on TBS. You had Rampage that's on TNT. There was no brand split between those shows. Now there's believed to be a brand split, with Dynamite getting one part of the roster, Collision getting the other part of the roster. One's on TBS, one's on TNT. So what purpose does Rampage serve going forward now? Because it's on the day, it's on TNT, it's on the night before Collision. I don't know what you do with it. Don't know what you do with that show. I mean, they're struggling to get viewers anyway, so you can't really afford to take the big names off, because if you take the big names off, I don't know what that number's going to be. I mean, that number has seemingly settled at around the 300,000 mark, which I've said before, we don't know what the expectation for that show is. We don't know what they want that show to do. I don't know what the show in that time slot did before Rampage was around. So 300,000 could be great. 300,000 could be like a good number. That could be something that's, seen as a success. If the show before was doing 250, then Rampage doing like 300 doesn't seem that bad. But I just think that because it had been, when CM Punk came in, it did 1.2 million, and it's kind of like declined from there. And we've seen that decline. I think it's seen as a failure now. But honestly, you take some of the stars off and use it as like a dark or an elevation type show, which would seem like maybe the way to use it. And the reason why I say that is because you're going to have big stars on Dynamite. You're going to have big stars on Collision. How are you going to fit on more big stars onto Rampage as well? It seems like this is going to have to be a show that's, unless you just, no, because you're going to have the brand split, aren't you? I was going to say, unless like anyone that doesn't make it onto Dynamite or Collision that week goes on to Rampage. So if Jade Cargill doesn't have a match on Dynamite or Collision, maybe she could go on to Rampage that week. But again, with the brand split, does that mean we can only use superstars from Collision on Rampage because they're the TNT superstars? Have you got TBS superstars and TNT superstars? It's an interesting point. It's a very interesting point. I mean, like, I think they'll probably eventually just get rid of it. I think they probably should just get rid of it, because I don't think it's really doing a great deal. And I don't know how you would use it unless you can come up with some sort of interesting angle, something interesting, an interesting way to revitalize it. Remember when WWE were, was it Shotgun Saturday Night, where they were like putting on matches in strange locations? We were like fighting on like subways and fighting in like just their shopping malls and different places. I feel that maybe there could be something there, but the thing is, or do you make it a little bit? I was going to say, like, do you make it a bit edgier? Do you try and make Rampage a bit more EC dub vibe? You could have Dynamite and Rampage. You could have Dynamite and Collision as your Raw and SmackDown type shows. And then what if Rampage is like an EC dub type show? And that's where you have tables and weapons and blood, and you just try and dial it back on Dynamite and Collision. Saying that, though, do you hurt what the fans are looking for on Dynamite and Collision? Do you take away too much of what the fan... I mean, Jon Moxley would be in bits. Jon Moxley would not cope if you was to take away weapons and bloods. Jon Moxley would live on Rampage if we did that. Or maybe you make it Ring of Honor. Maybe, like, you use it as a way to showcase your Ring of Honor talent. The only problem with doing that is, as I said, if you're going to take the stars away, because eventually I would imagine Ring of Honor will settle down into like the feeder promotion. It'll be the best of the next wave of AEW stars. But then saying that, maybe that's not the worst thing eventually. If it can sort of hold its level around that 250, 300,000 mark, and you can just use it as like big Ring of Honor matches. Maybe like that's where people can watch Ring of Honor if they don't have Honor Club. Perhaps like you can watch Ring of Honor show on there, but then we do big matches on Rampage or something. Don't know. If you're going to keep it, it's going to need some sort of identity, and I don't know quite what that looks like. it would feel like, because we're losing Dark and Elevation, it would feel like that would be the place to have Dark Elevation type matches. But they're just not, I mean, they're just not that exciting, are they? I don't know that that's going to work. I do like the idea of an ECW style show, though. I do like the idea of doing Rampage in like a Hammerstein ballroom type venue each week, and it having a different feel, and maybe that has its own roster as well, but its roster caters more to the ECW type kind of, crowd. And, maybe, I don't know, do you sacrifice Moxley and have Moxley as the main guy on Rampage? And so maybe he doesn't feature on Collision or on Dynamite. I mean, in all fairness, you've got the Elite spearheading Dynamite. You've got CM Punk and FTR spearheading Collision. Could you have a lot of low-level mid-card talent as well as Jon Moxley spearheading Rampage, and maybe use that as a third brand, but a brand that's very distinctive and very different and a lot more violent and extreme and caters to that kind of wrestling style, death matches and all that kind of stuff, exploding barbed wire matches every week. Don't know. I tell you what, we have tackled a few interesting topics. I think by and large they'll probably just get rid of it. That's probably what will happen. It'll probably just run out of steam and we'll cut it off. But I reckon there are definitely things that you could do with it. Days TNT could show reruns of Law and Order. Get the same ratings, and it would be cheaper for the networks than keeping Rampage. It might go that way eventually. CM Punk and AEW have fallen out again, hence why he was removed from the new show WTN. I'm not sure. I think there's a chance that what's happening right now is, because I think Tony needs CM Punk for this new show, right? Because this new show, as we said, is going to face quite a few challenges. I think most notably being on the Saturday night. So I think he needs CM Punk. So I think that he is going to really be like kissing up to CM Punk, and, CM Punk's going to be quite important for this new venture. I think CM Punk is probably going to enjoy the fact that he's away from the EVPs and he's away from the elites. I think it's weird that we're now hearing of a falling out as this announcement of a new show has been made. Yet apparently he was willing to apologize to the roster and he was trying to get back into good graces, and seemingly everything was quite good not that long ago, yet now the announcement's been made. We're hearing that he's fallen out. I just wonder if there is an effort being made by some within the wrestling sphere to just muddy the water a little bit, make you doubt that CM Punk is going to be a part of Collision, so that when Collision starts in a month's time, there will be a whole will he, won't he be on the show type feel. Because I think right now everyone's like, yeah, CM Punk's going to be part of it. And I do just wonder whether they're muddying the waters just so that there'll be a will he, won't he? Because in all fairness, it is clever, because you'll want to tune in to find out, will he, won't he? And that'll be, I think, a big driver for views for them. So it is clever. It is clever. They are, if this is what's happening, it's a little bit conspiracy theory, and I'm not really a conspiracy theory person, to be honest. So it is a little bit conspiracy theory, but I don't know. I just think the timing is very interesting, that now all of a sudden there's a falling out and everything. I think that this could be a situation where we're just muddying the waters on purpose. But we'll see. We'll see. I expect him to be a part of it. Right, we are starting with Dynamite, by the way, and it isn't Omega versus Moxley. Come on, stop being silly. That was last week. It is Wardlow that's in the ring. Boom. Wardlow loafers. Ward loafers. They could sell them in an AEW shop. Ward loafers. Okay, last week. Last week, Christian made a lot of promises that I really want to see him follow through with. He's telling Christian to bring his ass out here. So we know that Christian is on a collision course with Wardlow for the TNT title. Looks like Christian is about to make his way down to the ring. I think Christian's been doing a great job. I really enjoyed his match and some of the build with Jungle Boy. I think some of his promos, I didn't really get the thing where he was like, I think that kind of reveal of I'm the one that's going to face you. I kind of felt like that was a little bit not as big as maybe they thought it was going to be when he made that reveal. But by and large, I think his promos and the heat that he's been getting have been great. I remember last week, I think I compared Christian with Dominic. And of course, I managed to upset some hardcore AEW fan by doing that. The point I was making was that they are amongst the only two heels that I'm watching at the moment that are getting like such heat. I was actually praising him. I praised him last week. And I was saying, like, could you imagine them together? Because of the heat they're generating on their own. If they were to be combined right now, it'd be awesome. And I managed to upset someone by saying that. Right, clothesline. Down goes Christian. Kick to the midsection by Wardlow. Luchasaurus. Low blow. Low blow by Christian. Wardlow outnumbered here. It's 2-on-1. Luchasaurus with a boot. Wardlow goes down. Luchasaurus goes to the outside. Someone's helping, surely. Right now, Wardlow is down. Christian's on top of him. Luchasaurus has grabbed a ladder. I wasn't expecting a ladder, of all things, to be grabbed. You'd expect maybe a chair. But Christian with a ladder. He's got it on his shoulder. Okay, Wardlow goes down. It's difficult, innit? I mean, I know you have to protect yourself with a ladder shot, but it looks so bad. I mean, Wardlow basically had his hands like quite far out from his head, and the ladder hit his hands, and then he went down and sort of started selling. But it doesn't look good. I mean, I don't know if the camera angle was wrong. It could have been the camera angle, in all fairness. Oh, here he is. Yeah. WWE Gareth in the house. Let's go. Oh. No one has come to the aid of Wardlow. Wardlow has been destroyed. Christian has got that TNT title. And Christian standing over Wardlow. That ladder is knackered as well. Dented, broken. Good luck getting a refund on that. Right, opening segment. John, Taz, Excalibur, Tony. Talking about last week's shocking betrayal. I'm mostly sad for the ladder, said Horatio Mind. Coach Co, shout out to you, said Scooby-Doo is all elites. Yeah, he's in the front row. I think I saw Hulk Hogan as well. All the stars are... all the celebrities are out tonight. Scooby-Doo, Hulk Hogan. In the front row for AEW. Coach Co, hope you're well, buds. Right, is this Cassidy? Is it Cassidy? I'm so bad. I don't know anyone's theme. Don Callis, the Snake. It is Cassidy. Tag team match coming up. Is there a tag team match with Cassidy? 21 international title defenses for Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed. So Orange Cassidy making his way down to the ring. I honestly don't remember seeing him on the lineup. Oh yeah, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin taking on Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Here's Darby. So also tonight, Ricky Starks against Jay White, Chris Jericho against Roderick Strong, Jack Perry against Roosh. We're going to hear from Don Callis. We're going to see Sammy Guevara in action. We've got Dr. Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida taking on Ruby and Tony. So that's what's been announced for tonight, and I think we're going to be hearing from Tony as well. Tony Khan. OC and Darby Allin versus Moriarty and Big Bill. Boom. If mods come to meet you in London, are they allowed to time people out in person? Yeah. That is actually a power you get when you become a mod. You are allowed to just go up to random strangers and just ask them to go and stand in the corner for like 90 seconds or whatever. I think it's 120 seconds, isn't it? Legally, they have to do it as well. Good shout. Good shout. Wrestler Andy said, do you think AEW's brand split will have separate titles? Well, I mean, I'm guessing that the TNT and the TBS will probably be on those brands. But I don't think, unless we're going to have two new world championships, you know, are we going to have two world champions? Are we going to have two women's world champions? I suppose I just presumed we would just have the one and they would go between the brands. How they're going to do their brand split is going to be interesting. Because, yeah, that's a great question. I think I just presumed that we would still have just the one champ. I think it's because the roster maybe doesn't feel big enough to warrant two, but I bet it's one of those where if I actually sat down and looked at the amount of names that were on the AEW books, I'd probably be like, oh, okay. It'd probably be one of those where I'd be really surprised at like how many people they've got. It just feels quite comfortable with just having Jamie Hayter and MJF as the champs. It doesn't necessarily feel like we need another world title and another women's world champion as well. But as I said, with a brand split and then looking at a roster, I might change my mind after that. But I think TNT and TBS, they feel like they probably should go to the different brands. But then that would say to me that, yeah, we probably do need to introduce some... Well, we don't need another men's mid-card, do we? You got the international belt. So the international title, Orange Cassidy's title, can go to TBS because the TNT title will be on TNT. In regards to the women, though, do you need another women's mid-card title? That's an interesting point. I think we're covered for the men. And I think for me personally, I'd just keep it one world champ, men and women, to double suicide dive by Darby and Orange Cassidy. Crowd are good here. Crowd are fired up. But do we need another women's mid-card belt for the other brands for TNT? Right, I think we might be picturing, maybe. Orange Cassidy went for an orange punch on Big Bill. Big Bill catches him, hurls him into the corner, and a big boot by Big Bill. We hear from Tony Khan still to come tonight. Defcon Eric said, I think a brand split will have different fans. I don't really think it will, to be honest. I think it was a good conversation we had earlier about there being like an AEW Civil War, but I think that AEW will do whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen. And I don't think they'll try and drive that sort of a split. So I think there could be some. I think there could be some CM Punk fans that maybe aren't interested in anything that's not CM Punk. There might be some Elite fans that aren't interested in anything that's not the Elite. So I certainly think that there will be, there's not going to be 100% of people, but I think by and large, 99% of people will watch both shows. But as I said earlier, I think the bigger barrier is going to be the Saturday night. I think that's the bigger barrier. I think if they're not watching Collision, I don't think it's because they aren't fans of CM Punk or are loyal to the Elite or anything. I think it'll more be that they just can't watch on a Saturday night. So, I mean, if you look at, say, Raw and SmackDown, we don't really see it on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, I suppose what you do have is about 300,000 people, maybe 400,000 people sometimes that watch SmackDown that don't watch Raw. But because we know that Raw gets about 1.8 million and SmackDown gets 2.2. So there are people that are watching SmackDown that aren't watching Raw. But that's not a rivalry thing. It's not like it's not a loyalty thing. They're not loyal to like the superstars on SmackDown or anything. I think it's just because it's a bigger network and that's it. It's just a bigger network. And so seemingly for some people, they just watch SmackDown and that's it. But I don't think this is something that's going to divide the fans. I don't think the difference between USA and Fox, I don't think that's the same between the difference between TBS and TNT. So I wouldn't expect that to so much be a factor. But we do keep coming back to the Saturday night thing. We do keep coming back to the fact that I think the Saturday night is the big barrier. Is Khan booking both? Yeah, but he does have support from Will Washington. I don't know what Will Washington's roles are. But seemingly he's brought in recently Will to help support backstage. But I mean, yeah, look, Tony's definitely going to want to have final say at least with what's happening with both shows. I would make Rampage a interview heavy recap show. Have it reinforce everything that happened on Wednesday. Preview Collision. Stephen P. New is still advertised by Jim Cornette. Thank you. Godfather So said AEW Collision will be going up against WWE pay-per-views. Will this become a Monday Night Raw war on a Saturday? Not really. Not really, because it's not a weekly thing, is it? Plus, also, I've got to think that WWE pay-per-views are going to be they're going to kill Collision, because those shows are going to be built for weeks, and they're going to be massive cards. Now, I know Collision could, put on specials and try and get attention, but Collision doesn't stand a chance against SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or, most of the Money in the Bank. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are... Maybe it could hold its own against what? A Backlash? I don't know. But even then, like, I would imagine Backlash is going to dominate Twitter and whatever, so I don't think there's going to be much of a war. If the weekly AEW show is going to go up against like the monthly WWE pay-per-view. So no, I don't see it being... the fans might try and make it that way, but I don't see it being a thing. And certainly nothing compared to Nitro against Raw. Big Bill planting Darby too, and kick out by Darby. So I believe we were at commercial break. Why would WWE keep doing Saturdays when they are owned by UFC? This question was brought up to Dana White about will they keep doing shows on a Saturday because they're on at the same time sometimes? And Dana's answer was that he didn't believe personally that there was much in the way of crossover. He didn't believe that the audience that watch WWE is the same audience that watches UFC. Which I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I don't know how I feel about that, because I do think there's a crossover, but I probably could agree it's not massive. But I do think there's still a crossover. I still think if you're trying to maximize every opportunity, then running on a different night would make sense. But Dana White's answer was that he didn't believe there to be much in the way of crossover, and he didn't think it was any issue at all. Why did Transformers change into dinosaurs? How is that meant to be conspicuous when dinosaurs have been wiped out? I get changing into an ice cream van. I didn't know they did change into dinosaurs. We've got Darby and Orange Cassidy in the corner looking for a superplex to Lee Moriarty. I'm just concerned how Collision is going to handle Saturdays, considering they're competing against WWE and UFC. And in the fall and winter, they'll be competing against American college football, says Calio. Yeah, I've said this on a previous stream, and it is just worth kind of talking about again, but I don't believe that wrestling fans should go in with the expectation that it has to do 1 million. I don't know what the number is that they want. I don't know what that number is. And to my knowledge, no one does, right? What would be really interesting would be to look right now, and I don't know if anyone's done this, but look right now at what is in that time slot. So what is on TNT now, this week, last week, the week before, what's in that time slot, 8 till 10, right, on TNT, Coffin Drop connects by Darby, and what ratings is it getting? Because I've got to think they're going to want at least that. And if that number is 500,000, 550,000, well, then all of a sudden, talking about them trying to get 1 million is, seemingly silly. Because as long as they can do what's already in that time slot, that might be enough. They might only have to get 500,000. They might only have to get 600,000. But you already know the internet will have decided it's got to be 1 million. That just might not be true. It just might not be true at all. So, yeah, look, it's going to be a challenge. Saturday night is very competitive. But I don't know what the expectation is. I don't know what they've got to try and get. I don't know what the number is that they're looking for. Right, we are backstage with the Bucks. Here's Alex Marvez is still employed. We've got the Blackpool Combat Club. We've got a brawl in the parking lot. Wow, that was good show of strength there by Claudio. Nick gets thrown on top of I don't know what the make of that car is. Ram. Is it a Dodge? Got slammed on the front of it. So Nick's down, Matt's down. What's he saying? We're the only elite in this business. Blackpool Combat Club then wiping out the Young Bucks. We're going backstage to go and see Renee. Let's go see Renee. How is she? Here's Renee. She's with Wardlow. Sim Black's looking lovely. Here's Arn. Should have been out there. I've been doing this a long time. What are you prepared to do? Me, you, double or nothing. Ladder match. So there was a reason for the ladder. You want to pull out a ladder? Well, let's play with ladders. You, me, double or nothing. Ladder match. Wardlow is ready to go. I enjoyed Arn walking in, grabbing the ice pack and throwing it against the wall in frustration. Oh, should have been out there. Should have been out there. We got a black screen. Are we at commercial break? Yes. Yes. Didn't Dana say that Power Slap and wrestling had a crossover? Isn't that a knock at wrestling fans? There is a wrestling UFC crossover. I didn't hear him say about Power Slap. I didn't pay any attention to Power Slap, to be honest. So I can't say that I heard him talk about Power Slap. I think if he did talk about, I mean, I didn't hear it, so I can't really comment, but I know that it was airing, wasn't it airing straight after AEW? So I think that it was on after Dynamite even. So he probably was talking about wrestling because I think Power Slap was on straight after Dynamite. And so he was following whatever Dynamite was doing and maybe trying to even appeal to wrestling fans to try and check out Power Slap. Hoping, because I mean, the ratings, as we know, for Power Slap were just not very good at all. Not very good. To the point where it's not been renewed by TNT. And now it's gone to, I don't even know, Rumble or something? Rumble? I made that up. I feel like Rumble is where I heard it was moving to, but I don't even know what Rumble is. Coach Code said Battleground and Double or Nothing on the same nights. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. But honestly, push Evil Uno and have him become invincible, says William. Fox reaches 87 million households. TNT reaches 89. It reaches more homes. That's interesting. Your stream chat when you did WWE instead of UFC confirms there's a crossover, says Ray. Yeah, I think I agree there's a crossover because we do see it, but I don't think that. I think that like a lot of people in our community have said that they only started watching UFC because we were doing the streams. So I don't know how many wrestling fans actively watch UFC kind of on their own. I don't think there's a big crossover. I think there is a crossover. I mean, of course, there's going to be people that watch both, but I'm talking about en masse. I'm talking about, the majority. I'm talking about a good, healthy number that watch WWE and watch UFC. Dana's of the impression that there isn't. I'm just judging by what we see in the chat. I think that there is a crossover, of course. There are people that watch both. But I would agree, I don't think it's massive. I see a lot of people in our UFC chat that I don't see in the wrestling chats. And I see a lot of people in wrestling chats that I don't see in UFC chats. I do feel like they are... and there are crossover, as I keep saying, there are people that do watch both, but we're talking en masse. So, yeah, I think I would largely be in agreement with Dana. But listen, I said before, I think if you want to maximize every opportunity, if you're trying to get every penny that's possible, then switch WWE back to a Sunday. Because, anyone that does watch both would then be able to watch both again. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Oh, I believe that new company as well is called Big Whale. Big Whale is like the new company that owns WWE and UFC. That's the new company that's been set up. I think that's the name they chose. Big Whale. Let me double check that. UFC, WWE owners. Sammy's making his way down. Along owners will create a new company. Definitely saw that. Definitely saw that the other day. Oh, New Whale. New Whale. Sammy picks up the win. WWE and UFC merger to be called New Whale Incorporated after Endeavor file name for new company following the 21 billion takeover with Vince and Ari Emanuel as board members. So New Whale. It's a rubbish name, isn't it? Rubbish. I don't think it's a very good name at all. New Whale. Right, here's Sammy promo then. So he wins his match. Let's see what he's got to say. So he addresses the crowd. He said he remembers the good times and the bad times wrestling in this area. I know I'm not perfect. You've seen my mistakes firsthand. He's talking about Pam. Sometimes it takes a few wrong turns to get to the right place, and the right place is Las Vegas, May 28th. He said he listens to his heart. And his heart says he will be the new champion at Double or Nothing. Pretty standard stuff, to be honest, from Sammy. Not really anything revolutionary there. Bit of a babyface promo, though, isn't it? Babyface promo. You've seen me make mistakes. You've watched me grow up. Okay, we're just looking at Jungle Boy MJF from 2019. So it looks like a little video package for Double or Nothing. Just talking about MJF, talking about Jungle Boy, talking about Sammy. Darby. Days, I made a mistake. If you don't have cable, you can watch Fox. With TNT, you have to have cable. Fox reaches every state in the US. TNT reaches half the country. Okay. Battlegrounds on network can't decide, says Davids. Okay, we're going to Tony in the ring. Is he going to be talking to Don Callis now? Is Tony? No? No. Okay, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. They're laughing at how he said "dut." On Jay, "dut." Right, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett. We've got a couple of guitars that have been brought out. 2 guitars. One that says Cash, one says Dax. Here's Jay Lethal. Coach Co said Sammy Guevara was talking about Sasha Bank. And a dreamer had made it. Oh, wow. Okay. FTR just came running out, pushed Satnam Singh off the stage into some tables. Now we've gone straight into a brawl right now. Oh, Jay Lethal has took his belt off and he is walloping Dax with his belt. Dax, big back body drop. So we've got a brawl on the outsides. The Giant has already gone flying into a table. We got Cash and Jeff Jarrett. Oh, Jay Lethal's trousers have been ripped. Dax was... Oh, man, he's stripping him. It's like... That must be one cheap suit. That suit has absolutely got obliterated in like no time at all. Jay Lethal's pretty much down to his boxers. Into the timekeeper's area goes Jay Lethal. He's surely getting paid well to have a suit that's a bit more robust. Perhaps it's like fine Italian tailoring. Very delicate material. FTR chants. Jay Lethal is pretty close to his birthday suit. In the ring, we've got Jeff Jarrett. Jay Lethal has got some cool pants on. Oh, I can't say I noticed. He's out the way at the moment. It's just Jeff Jarrett in the ring. They got Tony Khan's face on. Who's this? Who is that? Oh, it's Karen. Oh, it's Karen. Karen Jarrett. She came in. Some woman. Do you know? Part of me for a second thought it was Chris Statlander. I don't know why. In my head, I was like, "Is that Chris? Has she done her hair? Is that Chris Statlander?" It was Karen Jarrett. Here's Satnam Singh. Everyone's got back in. I'm looking now for Jay Lethal's pants. Satnam Singh with double choke slam. Karen debuts during the Karen era, said Tim. The ultimate Karen. Okay, so FTR are down. And Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal have both got guitars. They're back in control. FTR are in a whole lot of trouble here as they get smashed with those guitars. Is there a third guitar? Where did the other guitar come from? Did one of the guitars not properly, like, break or something? There's another guitar in the ring. One of them exploded really well. The other one, I don't know if it broke all that well, to be honest. It looked good, though. It looked good. Right, we've got Jeff Jarrett, we've got Jay Lethal, both holding the tag titles as they're all celebrating, embracing. FTR have been obliterated. Briscoe will be the special guest referee. What show will you do? Battleground, Double or Nothing, or both? Well, I'm definitely doing Battlegrounds. Whether we will do both or not, I'm not sure yet. I don't like doing both. Got bad memories of doing that. Like trying to, you try to watch one, you can't do the other, but definitely Battlegrounds. We do 1 minute reviews for like WWE shows. I do them for NXT, but I don't do them for AEW. Just to be honest, because we don't really cover AEW as much. I mean, we don't do Rampage. And we're not going to be able to do Collision. So, but we do NXT every week. So, yeah, it makes more sense for us to be doing Battlegrounds. But whether we can try and keep an eye on Double or Nothing at the same time, we may try to do that. But it's never good, is it, trying to watch both? It's like whichever show you watch, you always miss something on the other show. That's what I found, anyway. I'd be watching this like NXT, and everyone would be like, "Oh my god, did you just see that on AEW?" So you'd watch AEW, and everyone would be like, "Oh my god, did you see that on NXT?" You'd be like, oh, always watching the wrong one. Here's the Outcasts. We've got Soraya, we've got Ruby, we've got Tony. This is going to be the women's tag match. Will you do Collision? We've already said we can't do Collision. Tony and Ruby versus Britt and Hikaru. Okay. Are you streaming the fight this weekend? Yeah, we're going to do Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Could this be where Statlander returns, says James. Babes. Is she returning, or do we save her for Collision, maybe? Is Hikaru Shida her 2023 record is only 3-0. Here's Britt Baker. DMD. Britt Baker making her way out, the role model. Well, even her record's only 5-1. Britt Baker's got a 5-1. I mean, what's that here on the 18th of May? And her record is that she's had 6 matches. I mean, I don't know if she's had like little injuries or whatever. I just find that quite surprising. Right, we are underway. Wait. Why is Shida with Britt? What happened to that horrible acting she did when the kendo stick was in the ring? Well, Shida came down and she acted like she was going to side with the heels, the Outcasts. But then she sort of turned on them. And she ended up then siding with Jamie and Britt. So she is a face. I can't remember if that was last week or the week before. But we are underway with this women's tag match. Missile drop kickers. Ruby goes down. Mitchell said, Days, the whale name is just a placeholder. It's called TKO Group Holdings. The Endeavor president announced recently. The whale name is a placeholder. It's called TKO Group Holdings. The Endeavor president announced recently. Oh, I've not seen this news. I heard... So when they did the original announcement, Vince said that they were still working on a name. And then it got announced the other day that New Whale Inc. was that new name. But now you're telling me that that's not the new name. It's just a temporary name till we get the new name. God, what a mess. What a mess. The company name is TKO. So what's the New Whale? I don't understand. That's a place. New Whale Inc. TKO is the ticker on the stock market. That's the stock market ticker, but they did not announce. That was announced ages ago. But yeah, I remember Vince in his sit-down interview said that they were still working on the name. I'll have to read into it. We are at picture-in-picture, I think. Well, if it is a placeholder name, then that's where we are with it at the moment, anyway. Weird. Very strange. Maybe we're getting a WWE UFC combined physical Hall of Fame. How do I feel about that? If it was massive, I'd be all right with it. But I really want a physical WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, if it was huge. As long as we got a good amount of space, because there's so many, like, ring-worn items, you know? So many bits and bobs that I would love to see. That, yeah, if it was like a 50-50 thing, I'd just be a bit worried that UFC would take up a good chunk of the space. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's something that could be more of a realistic thing now. Tekken was my jam. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is the first game. It's the best Tony Hawk game ever, said Justin. They should buy out the World Wildlife Foundation to recoup the WWF title, says Mike. Have you seen Sammy's tweets? No, what does it say? Snap suplex there by Tony. And shoulder up. I'm going to be going to Battlegrounds and I'll watch Double or Nothing on replay when I get home. Have a great time, Coach Co. Right, we got Britt in the corner. And we've got Ruby in control. You can't really compare what shows on TNT on Saturday do, as NBA playoff games will be on TNT. They will at least average 2.5 million viewers. Well, I mean, I think you can compare to shows that are not big sporting events like that, big games like that. I mean, for example, I don't know what's on this week. Is that NBA that's on this week? There must be some programming that this is replacing. That's how does that work anyway? Does that mean did TNT show NBA? Does that mean that Collision's going to have to move or something? The real Kyle said, with Roosh being on the cards tonight, I'm betting Andrade will come back. WWE never released a picture nor what's going on. It's only rumors. He said it was a good run. He debuted 10 years ago today in NXT. It has been a good run. Britt Baker down, Tony Storm down, TNT show NBA. So how does that work then? I don't understand. So how does that work? Does that mean Collision's going to have to keep moving? Or like not be on some weeks or something? Or is it just that the NBA is on at different times? But if it's on earlier in the day, then that doesn't... I don't know. NBA on TNT for another week or two. Depends how long the series goes. Finals only on ABC. It means some Collision episodes will air later. Ah, well, that's horrible. I didn't know that. That's horrible. So there is going to be like disruption with Collision having to move around a little. I mean, you know, we do have to do it with SmackDown sometimes where that goes to FS1. So, you know, I appreciate it is something that can at times be unavoidable. But yeah, I didn't realize. I just thought it was going to live in that time slot now. Shida going against the ropes. It's only during the playoffs, says Franklin. Final should be over by the time that Collision starts. NBA won't impact the debut. We understand each other, and you the only ones that can. Falcon Arrow looking for the pin to shoulder up by Ruby. They do it with Rampage. They do it. And when they do it, viewership goes down. Yeah. We said with SmackDown, when that moves to like FS1, the viewership's horrific. To the outside, Shida is thrown. Netbreaker. Huh? So Britt did a netbreaker to Tony, who for some reason was grabbing Ruby, which meant that she then delivered a DDT to Ruby. This is a very heavy spot fest match, this one. Kick coming in by Ruby. Going over, making the tag. Tony coming in, charging over. Down goes Shida. Tony's in there. Air raid crash over the top. Stomped by Britt Baker. Saraya is on the edge of the ring. Something's been chucked into Tony. It looks like a spray can. Tony is down. Britt's going over. It's getting sprayed in the face. Storm Zero connects, and it should be a win for the heels. So it's a win for the heels. Ruby and Tony win. LA Dortnight said Denver Nuggets are going to win the title this year. methinks. But was there fan interference in Rampage last week? Don't know. Tony got cake, says Juan. Just like when MLB playoffs start, Dynamite will move to TNT for some weeks, as the MLB playoff some weeks airs on TV and other weeks, some weeks on TBS and other weeks on TNT. Okay, we're going back to Renee. Renee backstage with Orange Cassidy. "20 people have spoke to Tony about wanting to have a shot at Orange Cassidy's championship. So Orange Cassidy said that he'll defend against all of them in a blackjack battle royal. He wanted to know for Renee. He wanted to be in it. She's like, no, I'm all set, thank you. Could you imagine if she said yes? That would have been awesome. If she was like, do you know what? I think I will, actually. Imagine that. Imagine that. Do you know what? Thinking about it, why not? You only live once, don't you? I'll give it a go. Jericho, Roderick Strong coming up next. I love the old school games, said Justin. I still play Contra and Metroids. People talking about their favourite video games. I am interested in that remastered GoldenEye. I do love GoldenEye. I think, to be honest, I never had a Nintendo 64. I think my brother did, but I can't quite remember. We definitely had some games around the house, and I don't know why we would if we didn't have the console. But, so I think my brother might have had one. But, yeah, I mean, there's like Super Mario 64, Mario Kart, GoldenEye, Legend of Zelda. Like, some of the games on the 64 were just so good. I mean, that's where you're starting to get 3D gaming, isn't it? Like open worlds. Before that, with the Genesis and everything, it was more like platformers 2D. Whereas with the 64, that's when you're starting to be able to go where you want, venture wherever. And yeah, I got a soft spot for that console. Some people claim that the GameCube is even better because it's obviously open world and everything, but it's got stronger graphics and better games and what. I don't know. I had a GameCube. I couldn't get on with the GameCube as much as I could with the 64. Things like Mario Kart Double Dash, that just didn't seem as good as Mario Kart 64 to me. Graphics were better, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it didn't push things like enough forwards or what it was, but I played way more Mario 64 than I did Double Dash. And Super Mario Sunshine, I can't say that's better than Mario 64. Graphics it is. You know, it's interesting that it's based on water and the backpack and everything, but I don't think it's a better game than Mario 64. Mario 64, I think the innovation of the Nintendo 64, I think the oh my god, look where video games are now type mind-blowing, you know, 60, it was such a jump forward. It was such a jump forward that I think that like the GameCube just didn't feel as big of a jump. It was refining what the 64 had already given us. So I think for me, I think I'm a Nintendo 64 fanboy, you know. And yet I've never had one. I did have a Genesis. I love the Genesis, but going back and playing those games now, they do feel a little dated. Certainly when you've got like big open worlds that you can explore and whatever. Platformers, they are fun to play, but they're just something I think you can spend a couple of hours on. Whereas like, oh man, I could play Super Mario 64 all weekend. Right, anyway, here's Tony Khan. Today, it was announced. Collision. Saturday, June 17th. Going on the road to Canada. We're going to Regina. Yeah. He said, I'll tell you where that's going to take place. Okay, so Collision is coming. New show is coming. They're going to do a tour of Canada, like, immediately after the new show airs. We're going to Regina. And he said, tune in next week. There's another announcement next week. He's going to tell us where Collision's debut episode is going to take place. James said, R.I.P. superstar Billy Graham as he passed. I mean, to be honest, I was mentally prepared for it because he was on life support and it wasn't looking good, was it? Still hasn't come through. Is it on Twitter? Ric Flair, 16 minutes ago. The superstar Billy Graham just left us. Thank you for all your influence on my career. Right, Jericho coming down. Yeah, I was just reading about Billy Graham. That's been tweeted out by Ric Flair. Looks like that's where the news has come from, to be honest. I can't see anyone else talking about it. I don't think WWE will do a video package on it, although I hope they do. I think it would be nice if they did a video package, but it'll probably just be a graphic. They're saying that it is Triple H that does the creative booking now, so maybe he'll ask that something gets put together. So, yeah, James, appreciate you letting me know. Ric Flair tweeted it, says James. Tony needs to blink and needs to stop being so stiff, says Kojiko. Right, we are underway with Roderick Strong and Jericho. Wow, we've had an hour already. I didn't even realize. An hour of the show has been and gone already then. So we are underway with Roderick Strong and Jericho. Brenton said, what if I told you the best 007 game wasn't GoldenEye? 007 Agent Under Fire on GameCube was the GOAT. GameCube was behind N64 to me, but GameCube was still great. I never played Agent Under Fire. I do remember the cover. I do remember the game coming out. Oh, that's a bold statement, though, to say it's better than GoldenEye. I would sort of I can't comment because I've never played the game. But it does excite me. If you think it's better, that does excite me because that means there's a whole great 007 gaming experience out there that I've not had. But I don't know how it sits with me. Such disrespect being shown to GoldenEye. I really regard it as like one of the absolute best games I've ever played. I spent so many hours playing that multiplayer game with my mates who would come round and we'd all go looking for that golden gun. Those layouts of the levels as well. I mean, just everything about it is just so iconic. So if you're telling the truth, that Agent Under Fire is that same level, then I am excited by that news. Over the top to the outsides. Announcing the announcement on a day of announcements from TBS with Collision. Tony had announced that Saturday Collision in Canada and announced that Wednesday will be another announcement. There was a lot of announcements. But in all fairness, I would say this is massive news, so I don't begrudge him having lots of announcements. You can do halftime scores. You can do halftime scores. Golden Gun was awesome, says Short Golden Gun was awesome. And if you didn't get it, flipping annoying. If your mate got it first, it was flipping. If you got it, it was awesome. If your mate got it, it sucked. Roderick Strong's got Jericho backed against the ring steps. There's going to be a tentpole event in Regina. Wrestle with Andy, please. This is not that sort of a stream. I will thank you to show a little more respect on a Wednesday night, good sir. What's doing title, Ring of Honor title on Wednesday and Saturday? Well, I think they can go to both brands because I think Ring of Honor is just like a feeder. Well, it's its own promotion, isn't it? And I think it's going to be a promotion ultimately that's going to be a place where talent can kind of cut its teeth and then progress to AEW. So I think the Ring of Honor belts, just like how the NXT titles, the NXT champ could go to Raw or SmackDown for a little one-off appearance. I think Ring of Honor will probably be the same. Right now, we got the walls on Roderick Strong. Strong trying to get over to the ropes. Crawling over. Aubrey is the ref for this one. And the hold is broken. Picture in picture. Right, do your halftime scores then. Picture in picture. Let's go. Bro, the music for the GoldenEye pull screen was a banger, says Justin. Scores, everybody, it's the halftime scores. I really want to know your halftime scores. Put it in the chat. Halftime scores, everybody, it's the halftime scores. Are you happy? It's the halftime scores. Are you happy or you sad? Halftime scores, everybody, it's the halftime scores. I should get that recorded. If I got it recorded, I could just press play then. Just sit here like this. Boom. Brent says, do you think Tony had to change his announcement due to Punk stuff, or is he doing it on purpose? Like you said, timing is a bit weird, probably stirring up interest. Well, I don't think he changed his announcement. I think this was always going to be about Collision. Whether they thought it through and knew that it was going to get announced at the event at Madison Square Garden and all that. I mean, he might have known that it was going to get announced and then he could follow up with something. I mean, the bottom line is today is just a big day for AEW, and there will be lots of people that won't have heard the news, that have been at work, that don't pay attention to the Warner Brother Discovery upfront stuff and won't have heard about the Collision news. So it makes total sense to use Dynamite to get that message out to those people about the new show is coming, basically. But you can't really announce something that's technically already been announced. So I think this was always about Collision. And I think he's just had to put a little extra in there and just, say something about Canada. I mean, honestly, whatever. I don't know if they've been to Canada before, though. If this is the first time going to Canada, then it might be a big deal. But I think they've been before. I don't think they've been to Regina before, but I'm not sure. I don't think Tony's ever been to Regina. That's Wrestle with Andy's fault, by the way. But yeah, I don't think it was changed. I think that they were trying to do something around Collision, make sure that everyone's heard the news, and maybe just put a little extra on for those that already had. 5 said Justin. 2 said Travis. 6.17 said John. 4 says Shaquem. Can't Stop, Won't Stop said 5 out of 19. I think someone said about, have we had the Tony news? We have had the Tony news. I'm at 6 to 625. First hour wasn't much. Falls Count Anywhere match. A Bay in a rope break. Doesn't make any sense. What is your score? I think it's all right. It's all right. I don't feel bored. Yeah, probably like 625, something like that. I don't know. I agree. There's not really much to get too excited about. The women's match was a bit too spot heavy for me. But I kind of like this look. It's always fun seeing wrestlers going into the concourse. So maybe we're going to get, some good stuff in this second hour. We've got Jericho and Roderick Strong in a concourse area. There's a suplex. Roderick Strong getting put through a table that, I don't know what the table was used for, but it's got some paper plates on it. It was, the paper plate table they always have. You know the paper plate table. Well, he just got put through the paper plate table. Now we're going over to the official merch stand. I always like to look at the merch. He's put some hand sanitizer on Roderick Strong as he wallops Jericho in the midsection. We're going over to the merch stand. There's no merch. Where's the merch? Where's the merch? It's all sold out. Where's the merch? This would be a great way just to have some advertising for some of the shirt designs. Can I just say, the shuffling that people were doing then, Jericho and Roderick Strong just went walking out. This guy was like having to shuffle out the way, but he was doing these little tiny steps. He had his camera phone. It was like this. It's like him and his wife were just trying to get out of the way momentarily. Love it. Yeah, this is the best. This is the best part of Dynamite. Not only this week, maybe ever. Whoa, Jericho gets it's a little dangerous. There's a hell of a gap there. What happens if he falls through that gap? Fair play to these two. They're battling away in this kind of fire escape, fire exit. Oof. Can they not fall? They can't fall down there. Shoulder up. So there's a fire escape. You've got this platform sort of area, but there is a little kind of thing underneath. I mean, you'd have to really be unlucky to fall through that gap, but looks moody if you did. Looks like end of your career, maybe end of your life if you did. Right, we go back onto that concourse. I hope those people become a meme. Right, Jericho with a chair, some sort of spoons, sporks are being used. Plastic knives were over by the ice cream machine. Ice cream's been shoved in the face of Jericho. He got hit in the face with ice cream. Oh, look, cameraman just got shot. This security guard was keeping people back, but one of the people that he shoves back is the cameraman. You just see the cameraman like, whoa. As this, like, quite big security guards just flailing his arms around. They're desperately trying to like, control the fans, trying to keep them back, give the wrestlers room. And unfortunately, one of the cameramen got caught there. Friendly fire. This is quite a job for the security guards. So right now we're still on the concourse. We've got a row of security guards. We've got a load of people, fans, being held back at the moment as we're going to some doors. Roderick Strong going outside the building. Roderick Strong and Jericho. Got a cameraman out there already. It's quite a nice, clear space. Here's Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole unloading on Jericho. So shots raining down by Adam Cole, baby. They're fighting on like a grass verge. Nice knee strike. Last shot. Down goes Jericho. Roderick Strong. 1, 2, 3. Roderick Strong beats Jericho on a grassy knoll outside of the arena. That was fun. That was fun. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Was it chocolate or vanilla? It looks vanilla, generic, creamy. Jericho down. Some moment. I mean, like there's some fun little moments in there. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I think it's because there's a bit of I think there's a few things at play, actually. But I think, like, as a fan, I always enjoy the whole experience of going to a wrestling show. And part of that experience is buying, like, looking at the merch stand, sometimes buying some merch. But, you know, getting a beer, going to the merch stand, getting a hot dog, finding your seat. Like, all of that is part of the live experience. So when wrestlers sort of cross that line and go into those spaces, not only do I get to look at what the concourse looks like, what the merch looks like, kind of what, not behind the scenes, but I feel like I'm seeing stuff that I would probably only see if I went to the arena. I always enjoy that because I feel like I'm seeing extra stuff I wasn't expecting to see. But also seeing wrestlers in that space as well is kind of like wrestlers, they kind of like shouldn't be there, you know? So I always enjoy seeing wrestlers fighting on the concourse for those reasons. And that was good. I enjoyed that. Well done, everyone. Well done. Here's Roosh. Roosh getting an actual match. They didn't let the match breathe, says Mitchell. I think the match for days is important than Billy Graham passing. No, we spoke a lot about Billy Graham. The news has not looked good for 48 hours or so. So I think that Billy Graham passing is something that I was prepared for, knew was coming. I mean, he was on live support and the reports were the doctors advised that it should be turned off. I think it was his wife that was struggling to actually do it. And so, I wasn't expecting him to make a recovery. So the fact that it's done now, in a way, I mean, if there was no kind of way for him to make an improvement, then I suppose, it's good that he's not suffering anymore. So, yeah, no, I mean, the two are not entwined, are they? But we have spoke a lot about Superstar, and obviously horrible news. Okay, Jack Perry, Jungle Boy against Roosh. They mentioned Billy Graham on commentary. Very good. That recap is perfect. You recap 100% of the action, even if it's not wrestling backstage or all the stuff. Jason, shout out to you, but John says Wardlow should have challenged Christian to a sporks match. That would be new. We've all seen plenty of ladder matches. AB said he's had a lot of health issues, sadly. Prince Henry almost died. Not Prince Henry! But Prince Henry. And his wife, Meghan Sparkle. Right, Roosh in control. Netflix apparently has sold the rights to Warrior Nun. What the hell is Warrior Nun? What's Warrior Nun, Jim? That's breaking news, guys. Breaking news. Is that Rope that's at ringside? Right, Jack Perry going into a barricade, into a railing. So we are obviously back in the arena. We're back in the ring. Action a little slow here, so I'm guessing we might be picturing. As Roosh jumps back out the ring. Jungle Boy on the outsides. Jack's got a bit of blood. There's a bit of blood there. There's a lot more blood now because Roosh has been pulling it apart. Into the barricade goes Jungle Boy. And over the railing, over into the crowd, there's a sign that they've grabbed that said, Roosh is better than Jungle Boy. Picture in picture. Defcon Eric said, I missed the announcement. Did he save 15% from Geico? No, he hasn't switched. He hasn't switched, so he hasn't made that saving yet, but it's there whenever he wants to. No, it was about Collision. It was also about Canada. They're going on tour in Canada. Tony Khan is going to Regina. I wonder if he's been to Virginia. He's going to Regina. Is there a place called like Plucy or something as well? If I had a wrestling company, I'd just go to those places. You can find us in Plucy. You can find us in Barsol. We're going to be in Barsol, New Hampshire. You can check us out there. We'll be in Plucy. We'll be in Regina. We do like to perform in Regina as much as possible. We really do. Superstar had some great matches with Jesse the Body in the 70s, says A.B. Jobson. Rain Club said, I know they're going to make Roosh lose. Right, we're still going to hear from Don Callis. We got 39 minutes. I've got to say, this show, even though the first hour, I mean, I didn't think the first hour was, like, bad. It was just sort of paint by numbers, really. Quite simple, straightforward stuff. Nothing really that exhilarating for me personally. but enjoyed the last match, the brawl. Thought that was fun. And yeah, I mean, look, it is a big day with the announcement for Collision. It is. Even though we knew it was coming like 2 years ago. It feels like it's been like a long, long time. It's nice that it's finally announced and we can start, getting some more deets, some more bits of info. Right, we're back in the ring here. Roosh is strolling around. AB Jobson said, I love Warrior Nun. Why aren't they using Jay White? He does have a match tonight. He does have a match. Tony needs to understand that you can do quick moves in succession smoothly, but still be unbelievable as a creative threat. Over in the corner goes Jungle Boy. Chest first. Clothesline. He didn't have enough power behind it. He bounces off Roosh. Roosh with some kicks. Kick to the chest. Roosh is throwing in a headbutt. Jungle Boy is struggling in this encounter at the moment. Goes for a chop. Nothing comes of it. Roosh flips his hair back. Chop coming in there by Jungle Boy. Another chop coming in. Jungle Boy chopping away. Roosh. Kick to the midsection by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy against the ropes. Roosh. Knee strike. Another drop kick there by Jungle Boy. So we've got Jungle Boy going over to the corner. We've got Roosh over at the other side. Jungle Boy, kick coming in there by Roosh. Forearm strike there by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is going up. Shots coming in by Jungle Boy. Unloading. Roosh is in the corner. What's that sign say? Vince fears ratings. Vince fears ratings. There's a sign that says Vince fears ratings. What does that mean? Did someone just take 3 random words and put it on a sign? Vince fears ratings. What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. He's scared of ratings. I mean, Vince probably fears outspoken women. Women that are not willing to stay quiet. I'd imagine he fears that. I don't think he fears ratings. Well, do you know what? God bless them. They gave it a go, didn't they? They gave it a go. They had a bit of cardboard at home, and they thought to ourselves, let's make a sign. What should we do? And they just, they went for some buzzwords. God bless them. I'd have do you know, if I was to take a sign, mine would just say tent poling. That's all my sign would say. Tent poling. Roosh, get some blood off Jungle Boy, and he licks it like a vampire. He's got a bit of a werewolf vibe to him, isn't he? Roosh. Definitely. Oh! God, that wasn't great. Wow, he just suplexed him outside the ring, but the way that Jungle Boy landed looked moody. That looked moody. I don't know if he meant to suplex him onto the edge of the ring or if he meant to suplex him to the outside. But he suplexed him to the outside. The way that Jungle Boy came down. Oh, not good, man. I'd imagine Jungle Boy's life just flashed before his eyes. Mitchell said, if ever there was a time for AEW to show your dong, it would be so he could appear inside the Regina show. They need to book your dong. That won't mean anything to people that don't watch UFC. But there is a fighter that's called Yadong. Could you imagine Yadong in Regina? Oh my God. Dream match. That would be a dream match. Roll up by Jungle Boy. He wins with a roll up. We just watched about 10 minutes of a beatdown and then Jungle Boy rolls him up and wins. I mean, in all fairness, he probably doesn't know where he is after getting dumped on his head. Now they've got rope wrapped around his neck. Preston Vance. Here's Darby Allin. Preston Vance, Darby Allin. We've still got this is long rope in it. Why is it green? Even the rope's green. In AEW, even the rope is green. I mean, it writes itself. Here's Sammy Guevara now. Knee strike there by Sammy. Super kick by Sammy. Darby, Sammy working together. Jungle Boy is down. Preston Vance charging over. Double drop kick. Down goes Preston Vance. That leaves Sammy, Darby, Jungle Boy in the ring right now. Days, it means Vince fears AEW of beating WWE in the ratings. I mean, we're not even close to that. I mean, why would we ever... I don't know why anyone would put... They didn't even put that, though. Wouldn't you put Vince fears AEW, if that's what you meant? Or wouldn't you put Vince fears AEW ratings? But then people would point out that the ratings are nowhere near Raw and SmackDown. Listen, someone's giving it a damn good go. They've tried. They have tried. Maybe they're new to wrestling, and they've heard of someone called Vince, and they've been told that that's the enemy, and they know that ratings. Listen, if there's one thing wrestling fans love talking about, it's ratings. So they've gone, let's include ratings. Let's include Vince. Let's put these onto a sign, and we'll see what we come out with. We got MJF backstage. Defcon Eric said, has Yadong ever fought in Phuket, Thailand? I'd have to ask. I'm not sure. I would hope so. Whoa! Slaps the microphone out of Renee's hands and then walks away. Oh, dear. Wow. Jonathan Moxley is not going to stand for that, is he? Is he? Is he? Jonathan Moxley is an angry young thing. If he sees MJF slapping, actually physically touching his wife and slapping her, that cannot be tolerated by Jonathan Moxley. You see, now, that would interest me. That would interest me if John Moxley all of a sudden now had to divert his attention away from what he's doing with like the Elite because of what MJF just did. Because that would feel quite real. Because sometimes that's what happens, isn't it? You might be focused on something, but all of a sudden life takes you in a different direction. And I don't know loads about John Moxley, but I would seriously doubt that he would be cool about what just happened there. That could be interesting. Moxley bled just watching that segment. I don't think they'll do anything with that, but I think if I was working with AEW, I'd be like, we definitely should think about something here because Moxley the character, Moxley the man would not be cool with that. Only thing Vince fears is a phone call by the lawyers. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Maybe AEW did go to Canada. There was the whole thing about the arena. The whole thing centered around that AEW should have gone bigger than the Coca-Cola Arena. The Coca-Cola Arena. Moxley once brought a 24-pack of tampons. Renee said thanks, but she was pregnant at the time. Moxley said they were for him. Travis said they won't do anything about it. Why it won't make sense. Tony definitely fears Triple H. That sign was bizarre. What was the announcement from Tony? He was just talking about Collision. So he mentioned Collision, and he also spoke a bit about Canada, and he said there was another announcement that next week we will get an announcement as to where Collision is going to be held. We still don't know where the first show is going to be. Where do you think the first show will be? Chicago? Just always feel like it's Chicago. Chicago. Chicago would be my guess. I will be more shocked if it's anywhere other than Chicago. If his announcement today was, you may have heard earlier about Collision. I've got some more news for you. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is, but I am about to announce that it is not Chicago. I would have been legit shocked. I would have legit been like, that is a huge announcement. That is big. Oh, look, Renee's back again. She's got a microphone. Four wins in 5 days. Has she? I'm not the same Tony Storm as before, says Tony Storm. Tony Storm wants the title on the line. So, looks like we might be getting Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm, Double or Nothing. Right, coming up next, Bullet Club. Oh, this is our main event. Jay White. Switchblades with Juice Robinson. AEW record of 4-0. Two-time IWGP heavyweight champion. Bullet Club Gold. Well, they definitely are going to have to add new members, aren't they, into Bullet Club Gold. Switchblade, Jay White versus Ricky Starks. I don't mind this main event at all. I really like both of these. I like both of these. Bullet Club Gold. Ricky Starks, main event in Dynamite. The crowd are quiet every time he comes out, says Shaquem. The crown is quiet. What, you mean like King Charles and Camilla? They don't say anything. That is true, actually. Every time Switchblade Jay White comes out, Buckingham Palace say nothing. They say nothing. Nothing from Prince William. Nothing from Kate Middleton. No, I mean, nothing even from Harry and Meghan, to be honest. Every time Switchblade comes out, you are right, the crown is very, very quiet. I'm just having some fun. I'm only having fun. I forgot Jay White signed with AEW. When will WWE do Bullet Club Pink? That could be... Oh, no. I was going to say, that could be the lady one, couldn't it? But in this day and age, probably get cancelled, wouldn't you? Right, here we go. The sign said it's soda, not pop. Justin said the Queen talks about him all the time. Too soon. Yes. A little bit too soon, yeah. God bless you, Mom. Jay White goes to the outsides. Jay White could have Ace Austin and Chris Bay from Impact Wrestling join him in Bullet Club Gold. And also a possible El Phantasmo since he got kicked out from David Finlay's Bullet Club last month. Is that the new leader of Bullet? Who's the leader of Bullet Club now? David Finlay is the new leader. Is that true? Wasn't Sonada in... He might have left ages ago, though. I mean, I only tend to watch around Wrestle Kingdom. But isn't Sonada like the man over there at the moment? I didn't even know if he was in Bullet Club now I've said that. He might have been in LIJ. But yeah, I legit, I don't know who's running Bullet Club now. I mean, that lineage has been so important. It went from like Finn Balor to AJ Styles to Kenny Omega to Switchblade Jay White. I mean, if you think about all of those leaders have been massive names, had great success. So whoever's running it now, they're definitely going to be ones to watch. David Finlay is now the leader of Bullet Club. Oh, David Finlay is the leader. That's big. That strikes me as quite big. Because as I said, my understanding of the history of Bullet Club is that Balor started it. Then we went to AJ Styles. Then we went to Kenny Omega. Then we went to Switchblade Jay White. And so now if it is David Finlay, this is either the decline, right? Where it's just not going to have the same impact it did in the past. Or David Finlay is being set up to be a massive star. Like a big star. Because that is a hell of a line of talent. So need to put some respect on David Finlay's name. Keep an eye out for what he's going to be doing going forwards. But, I mean, to be honest, Bullet Club, they don't feel as big as they used to. But it is still a significant name. It is still a very significant name. Sonada is the IWGP champ. It's the worst Bullet Club lineup ever. Oh. Maybe it's the start of the decline then. Bullet Club is dead, said Hurricane Mayhem. Kenny Omega is so damn good. Shots coming in by Ricky. Juice Robinson is talking trash to Ricky. They've said that we've still got the Don Callis segment to come as well. Of course, he turned on Kenny last week, so we've still got that coming. Crowd are quite vocal here. We've gone to picture-in-picture. 20 minutes left to go. That's all. Jay White, Ricky Starks, and then Don Callis promo coming up afterwards. So, ref counting away. Tim said, I can barely keep my eyes open. Ledge Killer said, come on, Jay White. Switchblade reminds me of Jake Roberts, the body shape. I can see a comparison. Definitely. Oh, nice dragon screw of the leg there by Switchblades. Nice. Ricky Starks down. Goes over to Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks in the corner. Grabs a hold of the leg of Ricky, driving his shoulder into the midsection of Ricky Starks. Crowd are vocal here. Crowd are chanting away. Well, I can't hear what they're chanting. I think it's Let's Go Ricky. Ricky sucks. I think we've got a dueling chant going on. Ricky into the corner. Yeah, he still got it. Like a sidewalk slam there, but yeah, Ricky's all right. Jay is in control here. Ricky Starks is struggling. Ricky chance. Still to come, Don Callis. Could it be that Jay White is just not as over as people thought? New Japan isn't at the level it once was. Wouldn't there be more seeds planted for Forbidden Door by now? It's only a month away. I think it's difficult because they've got so much to talk about. This has always been a little bit of a problem with AEW, is that they're always desperately chasing ratings. They've always got like a pay-per-view coming up. There's always, well, I say they've always got a pay-per-view. If it's not a pay-per-view, then it's like a TV special. Although actually saying that, I feel like we have maybe dialed down on some of the TV specials. Do you remember we went through like a real run where it felt like every week was a special of some kind? It had a name. I think maybe since that new guy came in, that's changed the entrance stage. We don't have the tunnels anymore. We've kind of adopted the red and the blue lighting, and you know, there's been a few little tweaks. We sort of changed the logo as well. I mean, it's the same shape, but it's just all white now. Maybe he's played a part in us not having as many themed shows as what we used to have. So, like, we've got to build Wembley. We've got to build Double or Nothing. We've got to talk about Collision now. Like, there's just so much to talk about. Trying to talk about Forbidden Door as well, I think, is a little bit tricky. Is he maybe not as over as what we thought? I don't know, because I don't know what we thought, to be honest. I think we were saying on the channel, like, people were talking about him coming in at WrestleMania, and we were saying, like, I thought he'd come in on the Raw after. I thought he would go WWE, and I thought that he would be on the Raw after WrestleMania, but there was plenty of people that were making the argument for debuting him at WrestleMania. But we were saying, like, if you do that, I'm pretty sure you're going to get crickets. Pretty sure you're going to get crickets, because, like, New Japan's not watched by that many people, and certainly not when it comes to a lot of like WWE fans. I think there's a lot more people that watch AEW that also watch New Japan than watch like WWE and watch New Japan, because there's no crossover between WWE and New Japan, whereas AEW is sort of born out of New Japan. Like, this is where Kenny came from. This is where the Bucks came from. This is where Jericho was. Cody obviously came out of New Japan as well. So, and they've done Forbidden Door before. So there's, you know, Aussie Open and Juice Robinson, Switchblades, and Ishii. There's quite a few people that have come in from New Japan. So I don't know. I don't know really what the average wrestling fan thinks of Jay White, or how big they think Jay White is. I think one thing that we have dropped the ball on in AEW is we haven't presented Jay White as the massive main event star that I think he should be pitched as. You know, I mean, we could have video packages showing what he's achieved in New Japan. We could have people talking about him, sit down interviews with others, just talking about how big of a deal it is that he's here. We could even have a countdown clock that says, you know, we're an out. They did that for Cody. Do you remember when Cody went to Raw and there was the Cody countdown clock? His match will be in an hour's time type thing. And they actually counted that down on Raw as a way of letting you know that, you know, this guy is a big deal. You want to stick around because Cody will be here in 50 odd minutes or whatever it was. So there's a few little bits and little things that you can do. You know, we could be outside his dressing room. Think about Roman when you see Roman's dressing room. and there's people talking outside of it. It makes him feel bigger because you don't see him, but you see people around, like, the Usos, Sammy, Heyman, around Roman Reigns' dressing room. He's got his own dressing room. These are all little subliminal things that just let you know this is an important guy, man. This is a big star. I don't think we've done any of that stuff. There might have been a video package when he first came in, but I didn't even know this was the main event this week. Coming in there by Switchblades. Working on the nice swinging net breaker there by Ricky Starks. So, yeah, I think that he's not as well known maybe as something, and I think that AEW could have done better building him. But it doesn't change the fact that he's still a great talent, and he's still a great addition to this roster. That's a lovely kick out there. Ricky Starks going for the cover on Switchblade. Switchblade gets his shoulder up. Juice Robinson is shocked. Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff killed TNA 2010 to 2011. Those were the worst years for them. Why is the crowd split on this match? I wonder what kind of wacky weed they have. I think they're both superstars that these respect. I can understand that because I like both. That was just a 2 count for Ricky. Duck underneath. Big spear. Huge spear by Ricky Starks. This is good. This is really good. He has got him. Referee is separating. Juice Robinson comes in, tries to use a chair, misses. Ricky's got the chair. He wallops Juice Robinson with the chair. That'll DQ him, and he does get DQ'd. Why did he do that? Ricky Starks was doing well, and then he ends up using the chair and getting disqualified. Oh, that's a shame. Ricky Starks using the chair. I suppose it's not about the win for him. It's about inflicting pain. Ricky! I think after that banging match, that is a bit of a, kind of a finish. It's an interesting finish, though, because he jabbed Switchblade in the midsection with the chair. Referee was warning him at that point. So if he'd thrown the chair away, I think the ref would have allowed the match to continue. It's interesting that he decides, because he had a decision to make, and he decides to use the chair. He'd already jabbed him once. He didn't have to hit him. I mean, the ref was right there, and he knew the ref was there, and he knew he would be DQ'd. So he got purposefully disqualified. But as I said, it's maybe not so much about the win. It's probably more about just inflicting pain. But I think you could maybe use that as part of the story going forwards. Like, you'll never be able to beat me because you're never fully in control of your emotions type thing. You was doing well. You was doing well. I don't think you would have beaten me, but you was pushing me to my limit. But then your emotions took over. You had the chair in your hand and you just had to use it, didn't you? You just had to use it. This is why I will always beat you. Ricky Starks, this is why I will always beat you. Like, maybe you could use that as part of the storyline. People said AJ would come out to crickets in WWE. His Rumble pop was insane, says James. Yeah, but I think those people were wrong because AJ had spent ages in Impact and TNA. And TNA, its ratings were not too bad. and he was a big part of that company. So he was a big consistent part. I understand that Switchblades had been in AEW a few times, but he was not a consistent performer. He was not there week in, week out like AJ was for TNA. I think even WWE felt that AJ would get some sort of reaction, because if they didn't, he would have gone straight to NXT, because Finn Balor went straight to NXT and Nakamura went straight to NXT, but AJ debuted in the Rumble. Now, I don't think Vince was expecting a reaction the size of what they got, but I think they knew that this was a big sign-in, and I think they had confidence that it wouldn't be crickets, because am I right in saying that the Rumble that year was in Florida, where TNA was taped? So I think the feeling was that it wouldn't be crickets because they were in the same place that TNA was recorded. So any crossover TNA fans would at least know AJ. And the fact he'd been performing in America as consistently as what he had. I think if there were people out there at the time, and I believe there was, but I would have disagreed with them at that time. Because I think if you do spend a consistent amount of time on TV in America for a pretty big wrestling company, I think you'll get, a good reaction. Like, I think Wardlow, if he was to appear in WWE, I think Wardlow would get a good reaction. I don't think it would be off the chain, but I think he'd get a reaction because he's been consistent in AEW. If MJF was to come in, he'd get a big reaction. Like, again, he's been consistent on TV. Even though this gets, 800,000? Less than half the ratings of Raw. I would say anyone consistent on AEW would get a good reaction in WWE. As long as they've been consistent performers. I'm not talking about Peter Avalon. Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, MJF, Britt Baker, those kind of names. Here's Don Callis. Kenny Omega would be good in WWE, said Davids. What if Omega Don actually happens at Double or Nothing? Do you know why Sammy is going to Saudi now and he never did before? Apparently Saudi have changed their relationship with Syria, and as a result, Sammy's no longer banned. I must admit, I'm surprised that he wants to go. But there's nothing stopping him from going like there was before now. I want to talk about what Kenny did to me, says Don. There's only one victim in this scenario, and it's not Kenny. So everything I did for him. Jericho Omega at the Dome because of me. So he's talking about how IWGP Championships, Jericho going over to the Tokyo Dome. It was all because of him. We've got security. Here is Kenny. Kenny making his way. Kenny making his way out. Kenny trying to find a way through these security guys. Blackpool Comeback Club have come out. Here's Danielson. So I don't know if Don Callis just turned on Kenny of his own accord, or if he is now aligned with Blackpool Combat Club. Hopefully we get an answer on that now. Here is Danielson. It looks like a tight top that Danielson's wearing. Where did Don Callis go? You can't touch us. You never could. This is your final warning. We are the elite. Well, you're not. Here's the Bucks. The Bucks are coming out. They've got a trash can, some weapons. Got the Bucks. We got... There does need to be a fourth. Could it be Hangman? Hangman? Hangman. Hangman's coming out. He's got an eye patch. Why has he got an eye patch? What happened to him? I don't remember what happened to him. Why has he got an eye patch? Is that an accessory or does he like legit need it? Oh man, imagine if like you was outnumbered and then like a person comes to your aid and you're like, yes. And then you turn around and they've got an eye patch. You're like, oh God, I couldn't have had someone that had two working eyes. Oh God. I mean, if he gets hit from somewhere over it, he ain't going to see it coming, is he? He's got no peripheral vision. I'd be like, look, no offense. Are you sure you're the best partner we could have? Is there no one with like two eyes at the back that could... No, look, I know you're a good wrestler, but... And it's great that you're back by our side. And I really don't want to drive another wedge between us. But how about you come back when both eyes are working legit, right? Because this, honestly... These are savages. And we really could do with you being 100%. One-eyed Hangman. Cowboy shiz. He stands up. We are the heart. We are the soul. We are the heart. We are the soul. We are the elites. Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing. Blackpool Combat Club and the elites. Anarchy in the arena. Well, I gotta say, I think this second hour has been so much better. I mean, I think this second hour has been one of the best kind of Dynamite hours I've seen, in the sense of I thought the Jericho Roderick Strong brawl was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought that Switchblade and Ricky Starks was a great match. Finish was a bit, but I thought the match itself was really good. And then I maybe didn't quite get everything from the Don Callis segment I wanted, because is he aligned with Blackpool Combat Club? That's still, we didn't really get anything. He says, I'm the reason Kenny achieved all this stuff, but still didn't explain really why he turned. I mean, unless he feels that Kenny's not very grateful. But Hangman rejoining with Kenny is a nice visual. And that's going to definitely have the AEW hardcore fans excited. And so, yeah, I think this second hour was good, man. I think it was good. Hell yeah, but they will lose because of Don Callis said to heel. AB Jobson says, now we're talking. Shaquem loved the ending. Very good way to end the show. Let's change the name to Half Elite Wrestling and call it a day. Main event angle was amazing, said Joel. Hangman reading the Sami Zayn promo booklets. Mitchell said, I'm up to 7.58 area. Where are you at now? Well, I was probably around like a 6 or a 6.25 at halfway point. Does feel a little bit harsh because it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a disaster. It was just really wasn't much for me to hang my hat on. But that second hour, I think, is really good. Really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely 7.25, something like that. Yeah. I think this was one of my... I would even go as far as say that second hour is one of my favorite kind of Dynamite hours of the year. I thought it was good. I really thought it was good. I'm trying to think if there was anything in there that I didn't like in that second hour. But I thought that was a really strong offering, that second hour. Switchblade Ricky Starks was good. It was a really good match. It's just the ending. But as I said, you can use the ending as a way of saying that Ricky is a bit too emotional, you know? So even that could be part of a storyline. So that's fine. And I love the brawl, love the fighting in the concourse. As I said, I'm always a fan of seeing that because I think as a fan, seeing wrestlers in those sort of spaces where they don't traditionally go or they're not meant to be, I just think it's extra exciting. And then that was nice. I mean, it didn't outstay its welcome. It was short. It was to the point. Lovely. So yeah, goods. Really goods. Working my beep off. I sleep soundly. I work so hard. If it wasn't for working, feeling connected, I would go insane. William, shout out to you, buds. Michael said Jay White would probably be facing Seth at Night of Champions if he went to WWE and had bangers with AJ, Cody, Roman, and Balor. Yeah, I did want him to go to WWE because I just think like seeing him at WrestleMania, like him being involved in those types of matches you've just mentioned. I think now that AEW are doing Wembley, it means that we can see him on a stage that big, so that's good. And there's plenty of matches for him in AEW, plenty of matches. So yeah, it wasn't a massive issue for me which one he chose, but I think just because WWE has those bigger shows, you know, SummerSlam's going to be in front of like 60-odd thousand. WrestleMania was just at SoFi Stadium. We have the big Saudi shows. Rumble tends to be in like a baseball stadium of some degree. And then you've got like, you know, incredibly stacked, well, 2 rosters, Raw, SmackDown, and then legends that you could always bring back. I mean, you could do Switchblade against John Cena, you know? Edge is still around as well. So you've got legends, you've got current stars, you've got lots and lots of options. But as we said, you know, there are options for him in AEW, and AEW, I think, definitely needed him more. So yeah, I'm enjoying his feud with Ricky, and have to see. I mean, I'm guessing that will probably lead to some at Double or Nothing. I'm guessing that him and Ricky Starks will probably have a blow-off match at Double or Nothing. Whether it will continue past that and they'll, you know, keep feuding all the way up to Wembley, or if he'll then start a new feud, I don't actually know. Don't know. I feel like we probably need to explore Bullet Club Golds. But again, there's not really a rush there. But it does feel like some other people need to come in and join that group. Because you've got Jay, you got Juice. But I mean, 2 people in a faction. A 2-person faction. It's pretty fun, isn't it? You can have a 3-person. I mean, the Shield and the New Day, are they factions? I feel like 3 for me is when we're starting. Tag team is 2. Faction is 3. But like real factions are 4, 5. So I think at the moment we're still at tag team stage. Him and Juice Robinson. So we do need to add some more people in. I thought Blood and Guts would have been a better blow off. Am I alone in that? Anarchy in the UK? I don't think we're ending at Anarchy in the UK. There's maybe a Blood and Guts match that will come after Anarchy in the UK. I'm trying to think what happened between, was it Inner Circle and... I can't remember. Who was it? Inner Circle and... Was it just a group of wrestlers that were combined? Who was the last... Or was it the... Wasn't Inner Circle and Pinnacle, was it? And I don't think it wasn't Inner Circle Elite. I can't remember what the last Blood and Guts match was. But I've got a feeling that was an Anarchy in the UK, and then did it lead to Blood and Guts after? We could be doing something similar here, where we do Anarchy in the UK and then do Blood and Guts after. I don't actually know what time of the year Blood and Guts is, but we haven't had one this year, have we? So it must still be on the horizon. I don't remember it being like an end of the year thing. Otherwise, we would have had it fairly recently at the end of last year. So it's probably not that far away, actually, thinking about it. So you could be right. It could still be the blow-off. Do you like Social Outcasts as a group? Is that the one in WWE that had... Who was in that group? Is that the one that was Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel and maybe Heath Slater? Because I remember the B team, but did the B team come out of Social Outcasts? Trying to remember. No would be the answer. If it is that group that I'm thinking of, they never really did anything for me. Even the B team didn't really do anything. I really liked Curtis Axel and Damian Sandow when they were doing the whole Macho Man Hulk Axel Mania stuff, you know. When they were doing that stuff, I was kind of feeling that, but like the B team stuff didn't grab me. Adam Rose, Heath Slater, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. I forgot about Adam Rose, but yeah, that was the group I was thinking. No, didn't do it for me. Days, don't do Rampage, but it is likely doing Collision B. Can't wait for Eddie Kingston to get healthy again. Oh, God, yeah, Eddie Kingston. God, yeah. Haven't thought about Eddie Kingston in forever. Good shout. Imagine if CM Punk returns at Night of Champions and shocks the world because of the Warner Discovery spoiled his return at Collision. Imagine if CM Punk returns at Night of Champions and shocks the world because of Warner. Yeah, it's not happening, is it? Because he's under contract with AEW. I'm totally down for some anarchy, said James. Last Blood and Guts was Inner Circle BCC with Eddie Kingston before Utah joined. Was it really? So they were Blackpool Combat Club even back then? It must have been like the early days of Blackpool Combat Club then. For some reason in my mind, I didn't think Blackpool Combat Club had started at that point, but it must have just been in its early stages. So interesting. Right. Well, look, we're done. The show has ended, and I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Certainly that second hour, as we said, I thought was good. We are not around tomorrow because it's Thursday and I need to do the research for Devin Haney Lomachenko, but we will be back on Friday with SmackDown, and we are doing the boxing on Saturday. And I think, isn't it the week after that? We've got like big things coming up. Isn't that like Battlegrounds and Night of Champions? So we've got quite a bit on the horizon as well. So lots on the way. Appreciate the support as always. Have a great evening doing whatever you are doing. And hopefully I'll see you again next time.